Hi, welcome to SBR TV. I'm Peter Loshak. This is our NFL Experts Roundtable for the Super Bowl. Our regular guests have given us great advice and analysis all year long, as you know by now. We've got one game left, and yes, everyone's paying close attention to it, but that definitely does not mean that there aren't sharp plays to be made or value to be found, even on the spread and the total. And last year is a perfect example of that. New Orleans was pretty clearly the sharp side, both before the game, according to the betting patterns and the rumors, and then in retrospect. And so let's see what our panel has to say as of now about Super Bowl 45. It has one of the smallest spreads that we've seen in a Super Bowl in a long time, so we'll see what they have to say about it. Welcome back Scott Kellen from SixCentSports.com, Zach Rosenfield from AccuScore.com, and professional handicapper John Ryan. Thanks again, guys.
Hey, Peter.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so before we get to whatever specific picks or leans you want to share with us on this game, let's first give a general overview of the game and discuss some of the specific factors that people have been talking about as meaningful. Now, again, the line in this game is only Green Bay minus 2.5, which is a very small spread for a Super Bowl. You know, you might think that Super Bowls in general would have very competitive lines with two hot quality teams going against each other, but that actually hasn't been the case historically. And looking at these teams, you can see why this line is very low. They do seem to be evenly matched on paper, so I will just give a general overview and see if you guys agree with my summary of the game. Both teams in general are seen as having great defenses. Some people call them the two best in the league, and both are seen as having above average but not elite offenses, and both teams are seen as having their biggest weakness on the offensive line. Pitt, of course, has the NFL's leading run defense as well as a good pass defense, but one that some see as vulnerable, while Green Bay's defense has probably also been top 5, and they have a strength in their secondary. On offense, Pitt has the better running game. Green Bay has a questionable running game, but Green Bay does have an edge in the passing game with Aaron Rodgers. A lot of people have been mentioning him as a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, and they have a receiving core that is elite, one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL. So adding it all up, we've got two great defenses with slightly different strengths, two above-average offenses, but with some clear weak spots, and overall two teams that do look roughly evenly matched. So do you think that just about sums it up? Agree, disagree, or add to anything I've just said? Scott Kellen, what do you think about that?
Yeah, Peter, I think you summed it up pretty well. This game's going to boil down to, I think, can Pittsburgh run the ball on Green Bay, and can Green Bay throw the ball on Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh's weakness,
right,
as you said, is their secondary. Pittsburgh likes to run the ball. If Pittsburgh can run the ball, they're going to be able to play action. And the Packers defense obviously is very good. So if they can take away what Pittsburgh wants to do, which is running the ball, perhaps they have an advantage. The other thing that may come into play here now is with Marquise Pouncey, the center for Pittsburgh, probably
right
out. B.J. Rodgers, as good as he is playing, that could create a little problem there for Pittsburgh in terms of running the ball. So that's something that'll be interesting to watch. But I think you're pretty much dead on with your analysis.
Yeah, I mean, you know how people are in general seeing this game, what the conventional wisdom is about all these teams. Is there any of that you think is maybe a little bit off?
No, I think the only thing people may look at in this is they may say, Pittsburgh needs to run the ball. The Packers gave up 4.6, 4.7 yards of rush during the regular season. Therefore, they should be able to run the ball. But I think, where people need to be a little careful is a lot of that yardage against the Packers was actually by the opponent's quarterback. If you take out the opponent's quarterback rushing yards, Green Bay actually only gave up 4.1 yards of rush. And obviously, Roethlisberger has the capability to run, so you still need to account for that in some way, shape, or form. And then also, if a team has a somewhat competent defense like the Packers, and they want to take away the other team's rushing ability, they can pretty much do that. And the Packers have done that in the playoffs. They held Atlanta to 45 yards rushing. Some of that because Atlanta fell so far behind, but they've only given up 3.5 yards of rush in the playoffs. So they've definitely concentrated on that. And so if some people think that Green Bay's rush defense is exceptionally weak, they probably want to look at that a little bit closer.
Right.
And there's no doubt Pittsburgh's going to want to run the ball, but it may not be as easy as some people think.
Right. Okay, Zach, with the general analysis I gave, do you roughly agree with it? And is there anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, I think that all of us are probably going to get to the same conclusion of what the analysis on this game is. What's bizarre about this Super Bowl is, in the games that we've all handicapped together, or these roundtables, is usually when you make a case for Team A, it's at the expense of Team B. So you'll say that Team A is going to be really solid and Team A is really weak. But you take a look at this game, and you don't really get that. If you want to take the side of Green Bay, you could you can play point all day long with the Steelers and vice versa. We've taken a look at this game. I'm going to leave it for the other guys to break down, the X's and O's of the analysis because they can probably do a better job of what the defenses have been averaging and this and that. But we feel pretty confident about the way that we're going. We have a good lead on this game.
Okay, cool, excellent. John Ryan, just to summarize this game, is there anything that you think that the general conventional wisdom about the strengths and weaknesses of these two teams is off by a little bit?
Well, quite frankly, I think this is probably, and I take a little pride in being able to anticipate what the line's going to be for a Super Bowl. And as you said, it's pretty easy to figure out who's going to be favored. And I was dead wrong, thinking that the Steelers would actually be favored in this game. And it turns out that the Packers are a skinny 2.5-point favorite.
Right.
And I'm still a little confused by that, but I'm interested to see how the money flows are going to go. The absence of the Steelers' all-pro center, I've learned today, and I think we all learned today, that he has a broken bone in addition to a high ankle sprain. It's very doubtful he'll be able to play. And even if he did play, it's going to present problems. So the Packers obviously are going to bring a lot of pressure right up the gut. Because his replacement, I believe, was Legursky, if I'm pronouncing that right. And I didn't think he played a very good game at all and was pretty much overwhelmed. At the time that he came into the game, Pittsburgh was on a roll. And I think that it kind of covered up what was going on with him entering the game, and we did see the safety.
Right.
Now, they do have 2 weeks to practice snaps and everything else, but Legursky is not anywhere as athletic as Pouncey is. And I think that's going to be a big factor in the game. I've never, ever really attributed injuries or one player to having a significant impact on a game, but the center, and he's the guy that calls the blocking assignments. There's a lot of responsibility with that, and all of a sudden he's now thrusted into this Super Bowl environment. It's going to be interesting to see how that's all handled.
No, I definitely agree with you that in general the center is one of the most important positions where injuries matter, and a lot of people tend to overlook that. And I will add one more point that you said you expected Pittsburgh to be the favorite, and I was speaking with Justin Seven, SBR moderator Justin Seven, who models all this stuff, and he says that his math has Pittsburgh slightly favored. So he would agree with you on that.